friends, what is up? Kenji, Numot the Nummy Egashira here. I'm happy to say I've joined the Card Kingdom family and will now be making weekly videos for them here on the YouTube channel. So if you like to watch some draft videos and other Magic Online or Magic Arena nonsense, well, you're going to start seeing me once a week. I'm happy to be part of the Card Kingdom family, as I've lived locally to Card Kingdom, Mox Boarding House, and for all my life, actually. But anyways, we're going to jump in with something I think is one of the most exciting formats you can play on Magic Online. That is the Vintage Cube. If you've never played Vintage Cube before, well, let me tell you, it is quite the doozy. It's a draft, but it has the most powerful cards in all of Magic in it. So sometimes, and if we're lucky, you might see things like Black Lotus, Sol Ring, any of the other Mox, Time Twister, that type of thing. So prepare to be wowed. It is basically a constructed draft format. As you can see, if you've never watched this type of thing before, you're going to see some of the most powerful cards like I mentioned earlier. Now, we didn't open any of the power here, but, well, you can just see the overall power level. Anyways, let's go over the pack. Let's see what we have to take. Consecrated Sphinx. Very, very good card. Otherwise, we have a bunch of lands. In this type of format, I think taking Fixing is a super good strategy, just because, well, not only is it important to cast all of your spells, but there's such good fixing between, you know, any number of the dual lands. You can see Blood Crypt, Sacred Foundry. You'll see the original dual lands here, of course, as well, like Volcanic Island, Underground Sea, that type of thing. But then, of course, all the fetch lands that are one of the colors can also fetch these. So that is something to note. Some good cards for like the Storm deck in this format if you've never played with Storm. Well, one of the Storm cards are actually right here, Brain Freeze. It's a fun one. I think here we'll probably just take the Consecrated Sphinx. A totally fine pack. Could see a bunch of different options, but Sphinx is just a very solid blue win condition that, well, starts taking over the game pretty quickly, all things considered. Turns out when you play not only a large flyer, but a large flyer that draws you extra cards every turn, good things are going to happen. I think to follow up the Consecrated Sphinx is just a pretty easy Force of Will pack. You can, and I've done it multiple times, win on turn 1 of this format. Whether you're doing something busted like the Storm deck that I've talked about before, or you're doing something like tinkering out a Blightsteel Colossus with haste, there are ways to end the game very, very quickly in this format. Now, that doesn't mean the format is always fast. You can play more control. You can play more grindy decks for sure. But just, you're looking to do busted things. So you don't want to just be playing a creature and playing a spell and playing a creature, playing a spell. That's totally fine. Don't get me wrong. But you're looking to do the things in Magic that are, well, broken, for lack of a better word. All right, so let's take the Force of Will here, pick number 2, and move on to the third pack, where we have quite a few other good choices. After taking 2 blue cards, it's not too shabby just to go ahead and nab a Brainstorm here. Other good cards, as I was talking about earlier, any of the fetch lands are often pretty high picks. Things like Zealous Conscripts are pretty good. If you remember cards like Splinter Twin or Kiki Jiki, well, both of those cards are in this format, and you can go infinite with either of those cards and those conscripts, for example. Seachrome Coast, another good land. Here, I think I'm fine just taking the Brainstorm. I think if I'm not taking the Brainstorm, I should take the Wooded Foothills, and then third pick for me is like the Kadama's Reach, which is just good ramp and fixing. But starting off with 2 good blue cards, let's take the Brainstorm to follow that up and see if we can do some other nonsense. Okay, you'll see like an Eldrazi here, for example. Courser's just a great creature. Rabblemaster. Recurring Nightmare is a ton of fun. Lots of value there. For me, I think we're looking at the Solemn Simulacrum. Just a good value 4-drop. Or like a Swords to Plowshares. Just one of the best rate removal spells in all of Magic, period. I think I like leading on Solemn here, just to continue on blue. I don't really see a reason to take a different colored card. Swords is great, but Solemn keeps us open. And now we have like a Polluted Delta. I'm going to go ahead and take the fetch land here since it's already one of our colors. Other good cards. Here's that Blightsteel Colossus I was talking about. something with Tinker, you know, you can just cheat it out really easily. Turns out an 11/11 trample with Infect and Indestructible is a pretty powerful magic card. But, I mean, we already have the Brainstorm, so Polluted Delta is going to go well with that. Easy pick here for me. Wow, into a Search for Azcanta, a Time Spiral, and some other good cards as well. Man, I find it very hard to pass Time Spiral, but the thing is, if you can't really abuse it with something like Fast Bond or Leovold or Narset or, you know, killing the opponent on the same turn you're casting it, it's often kind of a double-edged sword. So it could be possible that Search for Azcanta is a better pick than Time Spiral, but Time Spiral is certainly the flashier card, so I think I'm going to just take it. Emery is certainly very powerful as well. I don't think we're doing an artifact plan here, though. So I'm going to take the card that I think has the most potential, and actually I think that might be the Enlightened Tutor. Plenty of good artifacts in this format, plenty of good enchantments. While I only have the Solemn right now to find with it, I think the upside is there over any of the other cards in the pack. So take the Tutor, see what we get. Got a Gruul Signet here. Could just play like the ice side of Fire and Ice. Terminus could also be good. Works well with Brainstorm, right? If Terminus is in your hand, you can Brainstorm it back on top and then Miracle it later. But here I think I'm just going to take the Signet. We don't really have a different direction we want to go to right now, and with cards like Sphinx and Spiral, we really do want to have some excess mana. Looks like the Storm deck is open too if we wanted to go down that route. It's tempting. Had I taken one of the cards the first time this pack had come around, I would consider it, but for example, now if I take Lion's Eye Diamond or Past in Flames, I can't get, you know, Brain Freeze or the other card. So, could just be that I'm supposed to take Sacred Foundry here. To note, though, the Time Spiral does already work with the Lion's Eye Diamond, so I think I'm going to just take that and, you know, maybe see what happens there, though we might not play it. Okay. Next pack. This is pick number 10. Doesn't really have too much for us. We'll take the Oblivion Ring. It is something that we can go tutor for with the Enlightened. And nothing really else here I want to take. I mean, maybe I could take like Rotting Regisaur and look to be a Reanimator deck. That's also a thing. I guess maybe that has higher upside, and I already have Delta, so blue-black could be a consideration. 3 mana, 7/6. Never too bad. Wow, I was actually considering taking the Kanama's Reach like second or third out of this pack, so surprising that it did wheel. There's the Yawgmoth's Bargain for the Storm deck as well. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I think I'm going to take the Reach here. There are replaceable card draw effects for Storm, like I already have the Time Spiral anyways. Yeah, and now we get past a Courser of Crufix. Okay. Another solid green card here over Phyrexian Arena or Blooming Marsh. Gush now for the potential Storm deck is interesting. And some last few pickups. I don't think we'd ever be running Wilderness Wreck or Lightning Helix. Okay, not a bad pack overall. I didn't get any power, but we got some solid blue cards. Certainly don't necessarily have to play green here by any means, but I think blue is a pretty solid choice. And again, while we didn't open any power here, we certainly opened a card that's kind of on par with power. That's the Library of Alexandria. They call this the Leyline of Win, just because if you've ever played with any of the other Leyline cards, if they're in your opening hand, you know, you get to play them for free at the beginning of the game. Well, with Library of Alexandria, if it's in your opening hand at the beginning of the game, you just get to draw 2 cards every single turn. So, going to take that card here, just way too good to pass. Otherwise, we're looking at like a Simic Signet, otherwise known as Bar of Soap. You can tell by the art. There's like a Frantic Search here, some other fine cards, but pretty easy library in my humble opinion. And let's see, I mean, with Consecrated Sphinx and Time Spiral, even if we dump out our hand, we can pretty easily refill it with those 2 cards. So not a bad start. I always want to draft Storm in this format, but it's not always the best thing to do. Although, I will say this now, if we get past like a Yawgmoth's Will, I will probably start moving into the Storm. Okay. Now we have like an Animate Dead for the Reanimator plan. Scalding Tarn, another good fetch. Some other fine cards here. I think the Animate Dead is probably the strongest card. most potential. I don't have any real good reanimate targets right now, but I did just pass an Iona, I believe, in the Library of Alexandria pack, so we might be able to wheel that. Let's try taking the Animate Dead here, even if we don't end up running it. Again, highest potential. There was also like a Wishclaw Talisman in this pack, so if I do pick up Yawgmoth's will here in the next few picks, we can hope to wheel some of the Storm cards and maybe just go Storm instead, but we'll see. Okay, Balance, Ponder, Glenalendra Archmage, Basalt Monolith, a lot of good choices here. I think Balance is an absolutely absurd card, but I don't know if I want to dip into that right now. We have a perfectly good blue card to take here in the form of Ponder or Glenalendra. I think the Glenalendra Archmage might just be a little bit too good. In this format where everybody's trying to do broken things, mostly non-creature spell things, this card can just be a beating. Sometimes it just beats the opponent. So let's take the Glenalendra. Be sad that we're passing a Ponder, a Basalt, and a Balance, but I think the card's too good to pass. Okay, kind of a medium pack here. We do have a Frost Titan, which is a good solid blue creature, but maybe not the card I was really hoping for right now. Putrid Imp for Reanimate would be fine if we wanted to do that. The thing I'm concerned about right now is that we're not really seeing any of the other counter spells in blue. Like, I have the Force, I have the Glenalendra, but I'm not seeing the Mana Leak, the Remand, the Miscalc, the Counterspell, any of that type of thing. But we'll stay blue, take the Frost Titan, and maybe we can pick one of those up later. Pick number 5 of this pack, and we have a Shelldock Isle, very good card. Phyrexian Metamorph, another very, very good card that can just go into any deck, really. And like a Treachery here. I think I lean toward Metamorph or Shelldock, but it's hard to say. It's plenty of good choices. I think the Metamorph probably has a little bit higher upside right now with what I have. For example, copying a Persist creature like Glenalendra Archmage means you can return the Metamorph after it dies the first time around and copy something else. Good value. Okay, there's the Yawgmoth's Will. So this is the turning point. This is where I have to decide, do I want to go into Storm now? Or do I want to just play it safe and take the Chalice? The thing is, I don't have any Storm cards yet. Brain Freeze was passed in the first pack, and I didn't get it back. So if I did take Yawgmoth's Will and try to go Storm, I would need to get like Tendrils of Agony, or like Empty the Warrens, which is a pretty weak pick. I think there's still time to pivot into Storm, so I'm going to take the Will. But this could definitely not end up working. And we'll just take the Azorius Signet here. Like, I could take the Empty the Warrens, but again, that's not the Storm card I want to try winning with. Brawl is good for it, but Signet is just way too good. Oh, and Urza now, too. Okay. Well, now we can do some sweet Urza nonsense instead. Don't need to be playing this Yawgmoth's Will. Don't need to do silly Storm business when we can just take Urza. There's Iona for Reanimator potentially. Sundering Titan is also not terrible, especially since it looks like I'm mono blue right now. Bolas Citadel is so fun though. I think trying to take the Storm cards at this point is probably too ambitious. So I think probably just the Titan here and maybe the Tezzeret, but mono blue Sundering Titan seems like a good play. Oh no, the Mind's Desire for a Storm as well. Go ahead and just take the Sower of Temptation. Solid creature. Massacre Worm for the potential reanimate there still. Maze of Ith actually looks completely reasonable. Could play the Stoneforge Mystic. We might end up running the Gush in this deck too. But we'll have to see. Thing in the Ice. Playable, but not great in our deck. I've kind of hedged around a little bit too much, I think. Oh, we did wheel you in Winter Orb. Okay, so we have the Winter Orb Urza combo. If you don't know what happens, well, with Winter's Orb on the battlefield, if it's untapped, players can only untap one land during their turn. But then with Urza, at the end of your turn, you can tap the Winter Orb, add mana, and so then on your turn you get to untap all your lands. Well, we opened some power finally. Got a Time Twister and a Mox Pearl. Go ahead and just take the Pearl here out of this pack. Passing a Grizzlebrand, a Karn, a Batterskull to go with the Mystic. Pretty hard to pass a Mox, though. Especially when it kind of seems like you're doing some artifact theme. And, oh yeah, now that's a great pickup. Fractured Identity is just one of the most busted cards in any of the cubes you can imagine. It's 5 mana. You get to exile any non-land permanent from your opponent, or even from your own, and then you create a copy of it. So, you know, your opponent plays a Karn Liberated. You Fractured Identity it. You get a Karn. Wow. Busted. Take that. And now we'll take the Cryptic Command. The Narset is super tempting here, but I think I need some more control elements. And Cryptic, I think, fits the bill, but again, it is tempting. If I had taken the Time Twister, I would maybe take Narset, because then I'd have Spiral and Twister to go along with it, but I think Cryptic Command's just got to be the pick here. Casually passing a Grave Titan and whatnot. So maybe we were blue-white all along. I don't know. This Enlightened Tutor is still slightly questionable, but we'll have to see. Definitely playing the Maze currently. Control Magic. I already have Sower of Temptation and Fractured Identity. I don't know how necessary Control Magic is here. But I'm not playing like Armageddon, and I'm not playing Fairgrounds Warden. I don't think this is an Arcane Artisan deck. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take here. None of it looks very good to me. I mean, maybe there's some merit to taking the Hydroid Krasis, and then playing Courser and Kadama's Reach, and just playing some, like, Bant deck. I think because I don't really need Control Magic, I'm just going to take the Krasis and see if we end up playing a little bit of green. Ooh. Is there a way to play Leovold here? Probably not. I guess the Celestial Colonnade is the better pick. That or Thirst for Knowledge. I guess I'm still in need of some playables, and so Thirst is probably better. But Colonnade's a great pickup if I had more room. Okay, there is a Trinket Mage here, and our current only hit is the Mox Pearl, so unlikely to play that. Memory Jar doesn't seem very good here. I suppose Sword of Feast and Famine is okay if I want. The thing is, most of my creatures are 4 or more mana, so I'm not sure if that's actually ideal. I suppose it's probably slightly better than Jar, though, in this particular deck, so we'll go ahead and take it. Breeding Pool, Ashiok. Inkwell Leviathan's a little bit too expensive for me. Also, Birds of Paradise here. Yeah, I could just splash the Fractured Identity and the Hydroid Krasis. That's not crazy. Could also consider splashing the Ashiok, or as they say, Splashiok. I do have Polluted Delta for a little bit of black fixing. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Ashiok is the better splash card. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and just take it. Okay, there's the Tendrils of Agony for the Storm deck. Don't think we're playing any of these cards. Maybe the High Tide. We do have the Time Spiral after all. Did wheel the Batterskull too. Okay, that's interesting. Which means I can probably shove this Stoneforge Mystic in the deck now. Absence very good, but the double white is a little bit suspect. Golem, probably not playing that one. If I'm splashing the Ashiok, maybe splashing Baleful Strix is also okay, but I think I kind of like just taking the Control Magic at that point. And a Sword of Fire, nice. Sphinx of the Steelwind is on color if we're playing this random Esper nonsense. But I think Sword is a little bit better. Academy Ruins. And a Ramanap Excavator. Okay, so I think I was probably a little bit too wishy-washy in this draft. This is definitely not the power level I would want for a vintage cube deck, but it's got some very powerful cards, so it certainly can win. I think I'm definitely going to need to cut one card here. This is probably too much equipment. The thing is, I like Sword of Fire and Ice more than Feast and Famine, but I think Feast and Famine is a better card. It's possible I'm just supposed to cut the Time Spiral, for example, as we have a decent number of card draw effects already, and I didn't pick up like the Narset on the Wheel or the Leovold to really abuse the Time Spiral. Is this better? It's not bad. I think I might even cut the Titan now, too. Maybe 18 lands is too many, though. Oh, this thing in the ice also looks really bad, doesn't it? One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, we just don't have enough things for the ice to be good enough. Not gonna lie, this deck is a little bit suspect. I suppose I can play the Enlightened Tutor. Tutor gets Metamorph, Solemn, Batterskull, both swords, both signets, and the Winter Orb. That might be good enough. Yeah, I just don't know if we can abuse the Time Spiral enough to warrant it. The card is absurd, but this doesn't feel like the right deck for it, unfortunately. So maybe getting the Toots is okay. Could run... Could run Maze of Ith as my 18th spell. I don't think that's crazy either. I don't think I want a random Gush. The most problematic thing about this deck is that I only have one counter. So I don't actually know if this is a good blue deck. We're going to give it a shot, but it just doesn't feel impressive. It's fine. I'll say that. It's fine, but not great. Yeah, I think I'm just going to run the Maze of Ith as my 18th spell. Alright. So how many... We get 14 lands. This would give us 2, 3, 4, 5 white sources. 1, 2, 3 black sources. 11, 12, 13, 14 blue sources. Is that good enough? That seems fine. And we have some decent card draw, so... Alright, not super thrilled with this deck, but let's give it a shot. Let's go to round 1 of this Vintage Cube Draft. Stay tuned. Alrighty, here we are for round 1 of this Vintage Cube Draft. We are going to be on the play as we won the die roll. Let's take a look at our hand here. Not sure I like the double sword hand. No white. This is probably a little bit too slow for Vintage Cube. I think we can probably mulligan that one back, especially with the new mulligan rules. Ugh, this is also a pretty bad hand. Man, this is really bad. Do we want to go to 5, though? I don't think so. I'm going to keep this and just pitch the Enlightened Tutor. Remember, Maze of Ith is more is a spell than anything else, so hopefully Control Magic and Sower can do some work. We would love to draw like a signet into a land off the top. But a sword ain't gonna do the job. This is where things get dicey, not having like a wrath or counters. Where our opponent, oh god, is just coming out of the gate super fast. We did find a land though, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and run out the Sword of Fire and Ice. Now, to note, Sword of Fire and Ice does not work well with control magic. If I control magic a creature and then equip the Sword of Fire and Ice to it, the Sword of Fire and Ice is going to give the creature pro blue, knocking off the control magic. As they have an Oracle. Oh, yeah. That would be a nice card to steal. Oracle of Moldiah and hit some extra lands would be great. Okay, they have a Questing Beast in hand and they're drawing a Slime. Nice. So because they have Slime, I can't run out control magic yet. We're going to play the Sower, take the Oracle, and then we can play the Maze of Ith, extra land from our hand. What's going to happen is they're probably going to Slime my sword, because if they don't, I get to equip it to my flyer and start killing their mana dorks. But all of a sudden, we're looking a lot better now that we have the Oracle. And I think what I might do, if they do Slime the sword this turn, is just control magic the Raphaelos on my turn. Not because it adds any mana for me, it doesn't, but because it would take off a lot of their mana sources. Though there's definitely merit to just going Consecrate Sphinx if I draw 2 lands off the top. Yeah, as expected, they went ahead and slimed my sword. Okay, we hit a Solemn off the top. So I'm going to go ahead and just make the control magic play on their Raphaelos. Again, just to take away 2 mana from them more than anything. So they could go Questing Beast here, but that doesn't matter when I have Maze of Ith. Ooh, Survival of the Fittest is good. Pitch some creatures, go get some better creatures. Alright, they're going to pitch the Questing Beast, maybe go get like another Mana Dork here. Noble Hierarch or something. Birds of Paradise, yeah, similar. Alright. Mox Pearl, that's not a land. So, I mean, I want to draw the Mox, but yeah, I guess we'll Thirst here. And we can discard the Solemn, we don't need it anymore. Play the land off the top of our library, play another land off the top of our library, and then attack for 2 in the air. Brainstorm will be a good draw since I have the Polluted Delta that I can keep on the battlefield. So we can like Brainstorm 2 lands away and then play them off the top of our deck with Oracle, or just shuffle them away. Opponent has a lot of Mana Dorks. Holy moly. See, now we have to be a little bit scared of them doing something like a Consecrated Sphinx or Opposition. I hate when I'm right. I don't know if I have a really good way to beat that. I guess maybe Cryptic Command into Force of Will is an out. Yeah, this is kind of brutal. Okay, drew another land. I guess I could also draw like Fractured Identity. Let's play the land from the top. Well, let's play the other land from the top. Glenalendra Archmage. That's a pretty good one. So let's Brainstorm. Put 2 lands back. Shuffle them away. Mox. I guess I could Urza instead of Glenalendra. Urza might be a little bit better since I don't have mana for the Glenalendra open anyways. And then bash in for 6. Yeah, I have a few ways to deal with opposition, but it's gonna be tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If they have a Craterhoof Behemoth, I lose for sure this turn. Oh, I guess they have to tap 2 mana. Oh, they have an Avenger of Zendikar, which is another 4 or 5 creatures. Yeah, now we're just gonna lose to the opposition. I guess with the Urza, actually, we might have a chance. Yeah, maybe Urza lets me win this. So now we're going to tap in response to them. Tapping. This is kind of strange. I think they should pass here, right? After I've floated. Okay, they're not going to. Ooh, we can Fractured Identity now. Perfect. Oh, that's right. Urza shuffles first, then uses the ability. Of course, my mistake. Yeah, so now we can Fractured Identity their opposition. And now we get the opposition. That's pretty nice. Could have also hit the Avenger, but it's the opposition doing all the work, so I don't think that makes entirely too much sense. All right, looks like they're tapping all of my creatures in response. And that's fine. Okay, so we get the opposition. I can actually play out Consecrated Sphinx here if I want to, but I think the safest play is to Glenalendra. And then pass. And now upkeep. I could tap 2 of their lands if I want to. Though it might be better to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so they can't Craterhoof if they draw it this turn, so I'm just going to let them draw naturally. And if they have like a natural order, I can counter it, so no big deal there. If they pass into combat, well, I can tap down 2 creatures, and we have the Maze of Ith. And they're going to scoop the game. All right. That was definitely scary. And I feel like we definitely got a little bit lucky there. Winter Orb is actually really bad versus as many mana dorks as they have. But I don't know if I have anything better to add. Like, actually, could I somehow get Massacre Worm and Animate Dead in the deck? I don't know if I can I? The triple black is so hard, and how many ways do I have to get the Massacre Worm in the graveyard for Reanimate? Just Thirst for Knowledge? That seems like a little bit of a stretch to me, but that might actually be better. Take out the 2 planes. Losing the Fractured Identity is the thing that hurts the most here. But Massacre Worm seems like it just insta-kills them. How many black sources am I going to need for this? Oh god, a lot. Let's cut the Maze of Ith. An island. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black sources there. Oh, that's pretty sketchy. Pretty sketchy indeed. It just doesn't feel right not running the Fractured Identity, though. I can cut the other white cards, but Identity is just way too good. And if I'm cutting the Stoneforge, I can probably cut the Batterskull. In that case, I probably want 1 Plains in the deck. Oh, this is a stretch for sure. I don't really see any other card I want to play here, but I have to add 1 more card. I mean, maybe Gush. That seems weak as well. Alright, I'm just going to try to add the Time Spiral. It's a YOLO move, but we'll go for it. I think the opponent has a better deck than us. Gonna need to get lucky here. That's a good looking hand. Turn 2 Signet, turn 3 steal 1 of your creatures, I think is a fine line. But since they're on the play, the odds are they're going to go like turn 1 Mana Dork, turn 2 Dork again as well. So I'm going to be a little bit far behind unless I drew exactly Mox off the top. Taiga, Tropical Bird. Yeah. Okay, Wall of Blossoms, that's fine. Alright, that wasn't that bad. Delta can get our black source, but let's just run out the Siggy here. Next turn, I'm going to go for Sower on the bird. Ooh, maybe I steal the Courser now instead. Yeah, Sower on Courser seems fine. It's actually kind of funny. I already have 2 black source. Oh, there's the 3rd black source for Massacre Worm. So they wanted the land that they were drawing. Okay. Oracle of Moldiah, yeah. They're going to shuffle away the Avenger, hit another land on top. There's a Cradle on top, too. And Time Walk! Wow! What a turn. What a... Oh, man, and a Bribery? Oh, no. Oh, they are certainly popping off now. That's kind of gross. Oh, God, what is this? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tooth and Nail with Entwine? This is turn 5. Nice. I like it. All right, what did they get? Avenger of Zendikar and Craterhoof Behemoth. Is that lethal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is very much lethal as long as they stack the triggers correctly. Remember, the Avenger doesn't give the other creatures trample, but since they already had the Oracle of Moldiah, that is, well, that's 29 trample damage, and I can block 6 of it. So, pretty good draw there, OP. I approve. All right, let's go back for game 3. We'll be on the play this time, so at least that's somewhat of a help. But, I mean, like I said, our deck is just so much worse than theirs. Kind of need to get lucky, I think. Alrighty, here we are for game 3 of the first round of this vintage cube draft. We are on the play, and another pretty solid opening hand for sure. Turn 2 Signet. I mean, if I can get a turn 3 Ashiok, that would be lovely. I guess I really just want to hit a land next turn, though, for Sower of Temptation. Oh, there's a Raphelos, yeah. Need to draw a land pretty badly next turn, just so I can steal the Raphelos so they don't have 500 manas. As much as I would love to slam the Ashiok, because we drew the Black Source, again, it's just way too important to take them off that much. Hopefully they don't have too much else going on. I can always metamorph the Sower of Temptation to steal another creature if necessary. In fact, that might even be a good play, for example, if I don't draw a land next turn. Because then copying the Sower, stealing the Llanowar Elf can not only take away their mana, but give me mana in return. Okay, Survival of the Fittest. Although we did hit the land. I think I might just Fractured Identity their Coalition Relic now, honestly. That doesn't seem crazy. They have none of their other colors right now. And that's also going to give me the mana that I need next turn to cast the Frost Titan. And then Frost Titan, copy Frost Titan with Metamorph is a huge game. Alright, they did have a Slime, so they can blow up the Relic. That's okay. We did still find the land. Perfect. Let's Frost Titan, keep their Tropical Island tapped down. And we actively want them to trade with the Raphelos, because it's just a 2-1 in our deck, and if they kill the Sower, they get the Raphelos back. So, good to bash in for some damages there. Okay, a Courser of Crufix, that's whatever. Nykthos is definitely a little bit scary, but we get to eat the Nykthos with Ashiok. So let's do that. See what they're drawing after that. Okay, they're going to go ahead and Survival of the Fittest in response. Discard Craterhoof and go get... What are they going to get? Oracle of Moldiah, sure. We eat Avacyn's Pilgrim off the top. A land, and they're drawing Rexage. Them drawing Rexage is really annoying, actually. Because then they get to Rexage my Metamorph. Interesting. Very interesting. And they have an Oracle in hand. That doesn't really do much, though, so I guess we'll just copy the Frost Titan anyways. Keep them tapped down for a turn at the very least. I'm going to tap down their Tropical. If I had tapped down their Courser, I would instead attack with the Raphelos too, but this seems fine. We'll see if they want to pitch their Oracle to the Llanowar or to the Survival end of turn. So they have Reclamation Sage and Oracle of Moldiah in hand. They're passing? Did they just give up? They did just give up. All right, we won the first round. Let's see if we can Well, win at least one more would be pretty amazing, as again, I don't think this deck is particularly good, but 1-0, let's go to the next round. Alrighty, here we are for round 2 of this vintage cube draft. Win the die roll, gonna choose to be on the play, and I'm gonna keep this hand. With one more land, it is a turn 4 Galena Lendra, which is quite nice. Any white source is gonna unlock Mystic, and though we have Batterskull in hand, we do have both sort of, Feast and Famine and Fire and Ice in the deck, I believe. Ideally, we just draw a Plains off the top. Or Mox Pearl off the top. Opponent with a turn 1 Preordain. I would have loved a card like Preordain in this deck. Or a few more Mana Rocks. A few more Signets. Solemn. Alright, we really need to hit that land next turn. Got a bunch of stuff to do with 4 mana. Come on, baby. Give me the Plains so that I can play Solemn and go tutor up the swamp. That is the dream. Ancient Tomb. Ooh, that's a pretty nice one. Let's see if they have a 3-drop to cast here. Metamorph. Metamorph my Signet. Nice. That's some good ramp from opponent. Alright, land. Land. Yeah, and just like that one draw step might have just killed us. Because now the opponent can potentially play a 5-drop this turn, and I missed on my 4. And they have a Library of Alexandria. Ooh, crazy. Nice. Oh, gosh. Alright, well. A little bit of variance here, but sometimes that's what happens in Magic. 3 draw steps and we didn't hit a land. Just seems unlucky. Now the opponent's Library of Alexandria is on the line. They get to draw extra cards every turn. And we drew Winter Orb. Sure. Alright, I'm going to pitch the Enlightened Tutor. Ooh, they're going to turn off their library if they cast something before drawing a card. There they go. Okay, drew a card first. To Liliana of the Veil, sure. I think I'm just going to concede here instead of giving them any information. Is this a premature concede? You could consider that, absolutely, but given the fact that I've missed 4 lands, and they have an active library, I think at that point it's just going to be too hard to come back. So let's just scoop that up and move to the next game. Doesn't look like I'm going to need the Maze of Ith so much versus them, though. And honestly, might just put in like Lodestone Golem. Hopefully we do not get screwed again. Well, cannot keep this hand. 5 lands and 2 kind of poopy cards. Let's go down to 6. That looks a little bit better. I can go ahead and pitch an island here. Turn 1 Tutor for a Signet, and then turn 2 Signet, turn 3 Lodestone Golem. Would be pretty good. Good enough anyways. And let's get ourselves the Azorius Signet. I mean, in theory, you could go ahead and get Mox, but Mox and Signet both do the same thing. They effectively ramp by 1. And while I have 2 free mana, I might as well cast the Signet. Okay, let's go get Swamp. Let's cast out our Lodestone Golem, and hopefully this kind of just holds them back, and then I get to resolve Fire and Ice. Next turn, equip, hit them for 7, draw a card. I guess it would be hitting them for 9, actually, with the sword trigger. But if they just tap out for something irrelevant here, I will play the Winter Orb, using my Signet and 1 land, and then we can keep them off of some extra mana next turn, potentially. What we're hoping not to see, which they played last game, is Liliana. Liliana make me sack Lodestone Golem, and I would be in a real bad shape. Okay, 4 mana. Oh, is this Metamorph? It is! Are they going to copy Lodestone? We're going to have a Lodestone battle? Oh, nice. Huh. Well, that's certainly interesting. I guess now is a good turn to just orb them and pass, since they have 3 tapped lands to my 1 now, so mine will untap and they're going to be stuck on lands for a few turns. Hoping they just randomly attack for some reason. Nice. Yeah, do it. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to punish them severely here. Or I could just play another Metamorph. Wow, that's tempting too. That's super tempting. I think I'm gonna... Oh, God. The thing about Sword and then Equip is that I lose all that mana the next turn. So I think here what we're gonna do is just Metamorph and make another Lodestone. Make them regret everything. Make it so that if they ever want to cast a non-artifact spell, you have to pay 3 more. Furthermore, we're also orbing them. This is funny. Triple Lodestone Golem, Winter Orb. What a combo. They're still attacking? You are insane, and I love it. Maybe they have a way to kill me next turn. I don't know. That seems ambitious, though. That's a 4-mana Brainstorm. If they can add 2 extra points of damage, so be it. But I don't think I'm winning this game otherwise. Like, as it stands, they left themselves dead on board. Five mana. So it could be like a 2-mana non-artifact spell. Glen Elendra, yeah, that doesn't do it. So they can't attack. So now... I mean, remember, they only get to untap 1 land a turn. Yeah, so it's definitely correct to attack with both cards here. They have to trade 1 off, chump with the Glen Elendra. It's going to persist, become a 1/1. And now I'm going to go ahead and Sword, Equip, give it Pro Blue, and then we kill him next turn. Yeah, super ambitious attacks by the opponent with their Metamorph. But I approve. I wholeheartedly approve. Nice, okay. We will absolutely take that win. Again, my deck's kind of bad. I don't have much in the way of sideboarding. So I guess we're just going to resubmit and hope to win game 3. That is another terrible hand. Yikes. Yeah, down to 6 we go. Much better looking 6. Let's keep this. And I guess I'm going to pitch the sword. I want to keep the blue card to pitch to Force of Will, even though Glen Elendra is pretty good. And we want to keep the Signet and the Golem, I think. Oh man, we really want to just hit a land next turn. Come on, deck. Don't do the same thing again. Ashiok. That's going to eat a counter from me. Land. Yes. Should I Lodestone here or Urza? I think I'm going to lead on Urza. If I lead on Lodestone and don't draw land, I can't cast the Urza, so it's a little bit awkward. And this is better versus like a Liliana. Oh, there goes my hand. Okay. Oh, and a kill spell on the Urza? Oh, jeez. We are looking kind of bad now. Wow, that was an insane turn for them. Get rid of my 2 bombs in my hand, and then kill my Urza. I guess I'm gonna brainstorm in response to that. Oh no, and now we're locked because I pitched the Pearl. Oh god. We're brainstorm locked. We're drawing 2 bricks. That's crazy. Where did it all go wrong? I ask myself, where did it all go wrong? Oh, that's okay. That's actually good for me. Now they're eating my irrelevant Stoneforge and 3 other cards. If I can draw like Consecrated Sphinx here, we might still have a shot. That is not a Consecrated Sphinx. I mean, I stand behind my play, playing the Urza before the Lodestone Golem. It just... If I had played the Lodestone first, they would have hymned me, got rid of my Urza and Fractured Identity, but would not have been able to ultimate price the Lodestone because it's a artifact. So kind of unfortunate there. Dark Ritual. I'm guessing they stole my Sphinx or something. Ooh, Scarab God. Alright, probably one more draw to Sphinx. Nope, that'll do it. Alright, GG's. Yikes. Got wrecked pretty good there. But still got one more round to go. We are currently 1-1, and again, I am praying that we can pull off a 2-1 with this deck. That would be ideal because, well, yeah. Stay tuned. Okay, here we are for round 3 of this Vintage Cube Draft. Again, we won the die roll. We're going to be on the play. And this is a keep. This is another hand where I need to draw 1 land, but if we do, we'll be looking pretty. This is basically a 2-land hand. So, hopefully we can draw a land off the top for this Thirst for Knowledge or for this Ashiok. Bad lands from the opponent. And a Duress. Well, I'm glad I played the Mox Pearl out, because if I had just went Island Pass and they Duressed away my Mox Pearl, I probably insta-lose. I'm assuming they're going to take one of my 3-mana spells here. Yes, they did. Ashiok gone. Alright, let's draw a land for Thirst. Did not draw land for Thirst, but we did find a Stoneforge Mystic. Let's grab the Batterskull. If they don't kill the Stoneforge this turn, then at least I get a Batterskull online. Faithless Looting. Alright, that's not a kill spell. If I wasn't going to draw a land there, I guess Batterskull was probably one of my better ones. They discarded a Time Twister and a Signet. Yikes. Boy howdy, yikes. Gataxian Probe. And a land. Alright, we did find our land. Nice, nice. We'll go ahead and pass here, holding open Thirst and the Batterskull. See what the opponent can muster up from here. Depending on what they do, the real question is, do we want to apply pressure with Skull or Thirst for Knowledge to try and set up a cryptic command for next turn? And now that they've played the Jace, I guess it's a pretty easy Batterskull here. Hopefully we just draw the island naturally. Although Library can't be terrible. Let's kill the Jace, attack the face. Pass. Yeah, all things considered, we're looking fine. They know I have, I think, all of these cards in hand. So, a little bit awkward for them to just run out a creature into control magic. Frantic Search, you got it. So, the opponent is probably on Storm. And if they're on Storm, it is a possibility that they can go for a kill this turn, in which case, depending on what spell they cast, I'm going to need to Thirst for Knowledge in response. And then try to hit, my Force of Will would be my guess. But if they just pass, we're probably okay for at least another turn. Alright, well, we drew our land for Cryptic, so that's good. And holding up a counter is going to make it so much harder for the Storm deck to win. Turnabout. Ooh, tap my lands. Okay, that's pretty good. I think what I'm going to do in response to that is bounce their Fumarole to their hand and draw a card. That gave me the opportunity to draw like Force, but it also takes them off a land because the Fumarole enters tapped. So now instead of being able to go for something, they might not be able to. Okay, just flashback Faithless Looting's okay. There's their Fumarole again. Let's slam our Sphinx. And now we need to hope to draw Force of Will when they try to go off, if they try to go off. That is not Force of Will. The thing is, in order for the Storm deck to go off, they're probably going to have to draw a bunch of cards, which means I get a bunch more looks at Force with the Sphinx. Because they need to go off here, or have a removal spell, otherwise they're just dead. Cards I can take out include the Control Magic and Sower. I can just bring in Rotting Regisaur and like Lodestone Golem. We can also take out the Mazavith, because it's not going to do anything versus the Storm deck. Wishclaw Talisman, yes. Alright, you get to tutor for something. That is not drawing a card, though, so Sphinx isn't going to trigger. Okay, Lotus, do you have Yawgmoth's Will? They might be able to pull this off now. Yep, there's the Yawgmoth's Will. Okay, they can win. Absolutely. They do need to draw some cards here, though, which is important for us. We can still hit Force of Will. That is not Force of Will. They might still draw a few more cards, though, between, like, Frantic and Time Spiral, depending on what they go for, but... Oh, I'm also at 32 life! So if they do go for Tendrils of Agony, then then they're going to have to get to a lot of Storm here. Alright, they're playing a Frantic out. I get to draw 4 more cards. Again, just looking for Force of Will. Brain Freeze I'm going to lose to. Brain Freeze is irrelevant. Okay, Manamorphose. That's another card draw for me. Come on, Force of Will. Nope. 2 more looks. Nope. 2 more looks. Damn. No force. I don't think they have enough mana to Time Spiral, though. Right? They had 2 floating, so they have 5 total. Alright, Time Twister. I am going to draw a lot of cards here, because, again, Brain Freeze already kills me. And it's just way too important to try to find Force of Will in case they have, like, a ritual here. There's the Force. Alright, so I don't need to draw anymore. Took us a little while, but we found it. Yeah, Impulse is also irrelevant. I will counter now Black Lotus, exactly. They would need, like, Black Lotus into Brain Freeze. Okay. Control Magic out, Sower out. Maze of Ith out. Regisaur in. Golem in. I mean, I guess I can bring in Titan, even though it's just super freaking slow. And while it says 16 lands here, remember, I do have the Mox, and a Mox effectively is a land. Actually, I guess over Sundering Titan, I'd rather have Gush. Gush being able to potentially draw Force of Will seems important. All right, here we go. This is game 2 of the 3rd round. We are currently 1-1 in matches. We're going to be on the draw here versus the Storm deck, and we have a pretty good hand. Turn 1 Library of Alexandria. Turn 2 Signet, potentially turn 3 Archmage to slow them down. Could be very good. Library's going to help us draw our interactive spells like Force of Will, Cryptic Command. I don't think I want to take a turn off of ramping out, so I will take a turn off of drawing an extra card, but I think playing out the Signet's important. The sooner I can get the Glenelendra online, the better. Glenelendra is just so good versus Storm. So what's going to happen is I'm going to draw for the turn, go to 8, play that land, play the Glenelendra, go down to 6 cards in hand, and then the following turn I'm going to go draw a card for turn, which will reactivate the library. Can you beat the Glenelendra Archmage, my friend? Because that card versus Storm is pretty dang good, let me tell you. If you can't go off of this turn, you're going to have a lot to fight through the Glenelendra. Okay, here we go. Black Lotus online. Can we do it this turn? Turn 4 on the play. I've had turn 1 kills with Storm. High Tide, yes, that's good. That's going to double the amount of mana every island produces. Wishclaw Talisman, yeah. Maybe go find, who do you call it? Time Spiral. Here comes Time Spiral, I imagine. Yes, it is. I did not hit Force of Will, but I did hit the Gush, so if they go for an important spell, I can try to Gush here. Oh, no. I'm going to let that resolve. The thing is, if I Gush and whiff, then I've added an extra spell to their Storm count. But they still have 9 mana available. This is not looking good. Turn about their lands. All right, we're going to go for the Gush. See if we can hit Force. We did not hit Force. All right. Your move, opponent. They just need to cast one more spell in Tendrils of Agony, and that will kill me. Or Brain Freeze. Turns out Black Lotus and Yawgmoth will make things a lot easier, eh? Just waiting to see them. The necessary storm is definitely there. 10 storm already. One of it being my Gush. Black, all right. Do you have the Tendrils? Time Twister. Well, that's pretty awkward for me since we did have Gushed. Oh, they've drawn their Black Lotus every single time. I mean, it's possible they fizzle out, but the likelihood of that is so minuscule. They've looked at so many cards this turn. Where is it? Where's the Tendrils? Hell, even Empty the Warrens is good enough. Just make 30 goblins, 32 goblins. Duretti? Now, wait a minute. That's still not good enough. Discards Jason Tezzeret. Impulse? This will be insanity if they brick. You have to be kidding me. There's no way, right? There's no way they bricked. Although I guess the nice thing for them is that I only have 1 blue mana next turn for the Glen Elendra. Oh no, did they actually brick? Discards 2 lands, 4 mana floating, but not double black. Signet. Oh, somehow they bricked. That is insane. Kesara. That's crazy. Oh, did I forget to play a land that turn? No, I played my island. What am I talking about? Emry. Yeah, can't counter that. They have a Force of Negation too, but there goes their Tendrils. And they already lost their Yawgmoth's Will. No, they didn't. They shuffled it back. Oh, no. It's right there. It's in their graveyard. So they're going to need like a Past in Flames is the only thing I can think of. Or another way to reshuffle, but Time Twister's gone, Time Spiral's gone, right? That's crazy. I almost feel bad for the opponent, but... yeah, they just milled Yawgmoth's Will and Tendrils. Holy crap! Well, Chad, if you wanted to see some vintage in action, you definitely got it there. Now, my deck, I said it earlier, my deck wasn't good. But the fact that we were able to pull off a 2-1 was pretty fantastic. Our opponent's deck, on the other hand, especially our last round's opponent, Black Lotus, Yawgmoth's Will, that was a fun Storm deck. Unfortunately there, they got very unlucky and bricked, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this. My very first draft for Card Kingdom. It was a doozy. We pulled off a 2-in-1 with a pretty bad deck. Hope you're excited for some more videos from me, as I will be recording a video every single week for Card Kingdom. Not necessarily draft, but I'm going to say predominantly draft. But you'll just have to stay tuned and see what's coming up in the future. So thanks for watching, friends. Kenji, Numot the Nummy, Egashira out. We'll see you all next time.